little intimidated with all of this military might that we have into this call right now. There is we have Steve, who is from the Navy, Jim, a Marine, Dr. Richard Carrier, the Coast Guard, TJ, also in the Navy, and producing is Dave, who was in the Army. So I am the odd man out. I feel inadequate compared to these fine men that we have in here. So I don't know how I can go on. But happy Veterans Day to all of you guys and to you out there if you are watching. And thank you for your service. This is a day that is in your honor, and we appreciate and are proud of each and every one of you, especially the people who are in here. And Dr. Carey, it's good to see you again. Jim and TJ, welcome. Yeah. I think this is your first time with us, right?
Okay, see? How's it going, guys?
Awesome.
Oh,
Steve.
Oh, yeah. We got a delay. I thought we had a delay there.
Steve, you look spiffy tonight.
I thank you. I'm heading out here soon, and I'm going to go grab my free meal that I've earned. Because the only reason I joined the military was just to get a free hamburger on Veterans Day, so I might as well take advantage of it. So I'm going to be heading out here after the show.
Don't tell people that. Yeah. Don't tell people that. Keep that under wraps.
That's a good reason
to join the military.
Free hamburger. Walking, a couple miles a day.
You're losing all that weight from all the Twitter fighting you've been doing.
That might be true. People should know.
I think maybe we're resetting, guys.
We are. We have to.
Oh, okay.
We are up.
Is it a YouTube thing?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I thought we were closing down the stream. Apparently, we aren't. So apparently, we're good now. Okay. If I'm watching the live chat over here, so if it does start to drop out or become choppy, just let me know, and I'll see if we can't fix that. But anyway, welcome back. I'm glad that I don't have to do that intro again because I nailed it the first time. We'll just cut that middle jargon out. Well, Steve, we were talking about you wanted. I think it should be acknowledged that you've lost how much weight now?
I started dieting last year at 210, a little over 210. I got down to about 200 and I stopped. And just recently, as about 6 weeks ago, I started up again and I dropped down to almost 190. I'm at 191. So I've a considerable amount of weight. I've been exercising a lot, doing push-ups and incline push-ups and weightlifting and walking. And so I've dropped another almost 10 pounds since then. I'm going to go for another 5, I think, is the optimal.
You agnostic meathead. That's exactly what we need.
Awesome.
Muscle-bound agnostic.
There's only one person in here I know that I can't kick their ass, but the rest of you, we'll see.
So tonight we're gonna tonight's gonna be kind of a cool stream. I think we're gonna talk about how atheism can kind of integrate with the military and some things that have come up in recent times, like the chaplain. I know, Steve, you did a hangout a couple of months ago on this, the chaplain issue. So that'll be something that we pinpoint. It'll be a really good way to kind of, if you're somebody that is serving and you don't happen to have faith, then this will be a good thing for you to kind of connect with. So just real quick before we jump in, what we've got coming up for the week after this stream at 8:30, you can join us for the Smoking Nun. Jeff Holiday will be with us. We'll be going through Jilly Juice's latest meltdown. Now, if you don't know, Jilly Juice is the lady that claims that by drinking cabbage and salt smoothies, you can regrow limbs. It will cure the gay. It will reverse cancer. All of this stuff. And yes, she recently, just a couple weeks ago, posted on Facebook a almost like a want ad. She was like you would read on Craigslist, but it said, "I'm looking for people who are amputees to adopt, so that I can teach you how you can regrow your limbs by drinking my protocol juice." Like, this was an actual thing that she posted, and she's just gone off the deep end. So we're gonna be discussing her. Also, the case of the 69-year-old man who recently filed in Denmark a court trying to get the court to declare him a 42-year-old. He said that if people's genders can be fluid, then his age can be fluid, and so he wants to petition the courts to be a 42-year-old. So that's something that we are dealing with today. That's what we've gotten to. Age
the
fluidity.
feed is fucking to the live chat.
What's that?
The feed is fucked again, according to my chat.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah, it looks like it's stuck again.
Yeah,
it looks good on my end.
It's not a program, it's YouTube.
Oh,
it's got to be.
Yeah, it looks fine on my end. Guys, are in the live chat, are you seeing any issues? Let me know real quick.
Yeah, it's still
we'll
buffering.
give it a couple seconds.
YouTube could be taxed today. A lot of events going on, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably a YouTube thing. Just bear with us. We're gonna try to plow through it. Okay, people are saying it's fine. All right, we're good. Okay. So join us for that. After this, it'll be at 8:30. All right. Steve, you are the co-host with the what is it? Acclamations, the right stuff to lead this conversation. So I'm going to throw it over to you and let you kind of take us through.
I'm not the highest ranking person here. I think that the highest ranking NCO should be the one that actually kind of guides it. However, since it's our show, I'll take it.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. NCOs. Since we're talking about military stuff, NCOs, you don't actually call them sir, right? Actually, we work for a living, so we actually tell people don't call us sir. And also in the military, sir actually is applicable to male or female. So a woman officer is still a sir.
No.
Yeah. No, really.
That's a Navy thing. That's a Navy thing.
Okay. Well, the Navy. Well, you know what? The only branch that matters. So
what the hell is going on with the Navy where you call women sir? What is that?
If you call a female Marine sir, they're gonna Ronda Rousey your ass.
You typically see that with captains of vessels.
That is bizarre.
Fighting when you get different branches together. Different branches of the military fight more with each other.
I can feel the tension. I can feel the tension between the branches here. You can definitely tell there's some competition going on. So after you, Steve.
I'll be by all means. You have this planned out. I don't want to take it over, but I could just tell everybody here, thank you for your service very much. The people out there and the veterans watching, thank you for your service. I take it very humbly that people do pay respect to the people that have served and served honorably. So this is one of my favorite holidays, to be honest with you.
Let's go down the line and let each of you tell your favorite story from when you were in the service. That'll be a good way to break the ice. Jim,
I got a few.
Hoorah, you want to start? Nice.
Well, I'll let you guys decide. You want to hear, well, maybe something that pertains to something we could tie in with the this isn't even okay. What is that? What's that noise? Okay. Here we go. That was kind of weird, wasn't it? All right. So when I was a drill instructor in San Diego, towards the end of training, we let the recruits march themselves down in groups of 10 down to the religious services on Sunday mornings. So they were given that the luxury of going in and marching themselves down in groups of 10. And so I would say, put your hands up if you're a Protestant. Okay, hands go up. Okay, muster in the quarterdeck, and then they would pair off in groups of 10 and go down to the Protestant service. Well, there was even Wiccan service. There was no Wiccan chaplain, but there was a lay leader. They would go outside and do it in the martial arts pit. But whenever the Mormon service came up, there's like one or two hands, and they'd march off. And then the next week, there was like half a dozen hands. And then the next week, like half my damn platoon became Mormons. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I was sneaking around, and I followed them to the Mormon service. Turns out when they got there, a Mormon service is also lay leader. So there is no Mormon chaplain. They would go in there. It turns out there's a phone. There was a pay phone right outside the Mormon service area. So they were becoming Mormons so they could get their secret phone calls or unauthorized phone calls. And so I busted all of them, and they scattered like cockroaches. But yeah, I was wondering why everyone was becoming Mormon.
Nice.
Anyway.
All right, Dr. Carrier.
Yeah, the religious related one is when I went into the Coast Guard, I was still a devout Taoist. So for those who know my backstory, I was never really a confessed Christian. My family was nominally liberal Christian, but my first true religion, caused by having religious experiences that convinced me Taoism was true, my first real religion that I had faith in was Taoism. And I was a declared Taoist. So actually, when I went into the boot camp in the Coast Guard, that's what was my religion. It was my declared religion. And they allowed, in boot camp, you were allowed to have one devotional item. So I actually brought my own Tao Te Ching. I got like a diary and then chose from 6 different English translations every particular stanza that I wanted from different ones. So I assembled my own Tao Te Ching translation. And that was my Bible, basically. And when they would do Sunday chapel, I didn't have to go. I was able to just stay in the barracks and just read my devotional. I'd read my book. They said, read your Tao Te Ching. And I didn't have to work. I could just sit there and relax and read the Tao Te Ching and meditate. And that was my chapel experience in boot camp. And then eventually, while I was at sea, a year later, that's when I lost my faith in Taoism and started literally started writing Sense of Goodness Without God. It transformed hugely in the next few decades. But I started writing it at sea after they eliminated sonar tech, and we decided to all hide so no one would give us extra duties. And one of the places we would hide is at the bow of the ship. So we were on a 378-foot cutter, 180 crew. We did international waters patrols, ocean patrols, law enforcement, search and rescue, treaty enforcement. And in the way up at the bow where the sonar dome was, there was a machine, like a tech room above that. It was we called it lower sound. It was it was secret security clearance to be in there even. So like we would go in there, and it was right underneath the gym, and we would you have this little circular hatch, and you'd climb down into it. But it had chairs, it had a workbench, and all of this stuff. So we were just down there. I remember my E6 was practicing guitar. My E5 was reading his sci-fi novels, and I was on my brother word processor, starting out the book, basically. It's Sense of Goodness Without God. Like, what do I do now that Taoism is false? What do I think about this? And so, and for people who've been at sea, especially on these smaller ships, the bow is the part that like goes the most. Like it goes up and down like hugely bad. And so we were literally going from 0 Gs to 2 Gs regularly, just like this, like a rocker. And so we'd be in there for hours and hours. But no, when you got your sea legs, I didn't care. Everybody was just down there doing their thing. And so that was, most people though would be horrified at the idea of just sitting in a rocker like that for hours going 0 G, 2 G, 0 G, 2 G. Yep. Are you a shell?
Definitely.
Are you a shell? Okay, then you know. Are you
Steve?
I didn't hear Master what?
Questions are you a shellback?
Shellback.
Yeah, I'm a shellback. I'm not a golden shellback, but I'm a shellback. Yeah. You know what? We were short.
Golden shellback is across the exact international date line.
I see. Yeah, I did international.
Yeah, we were sworn to secrecy about what happens during the shellback ceremony, but after 20 years, who cares? We might divulge what goes on, and you will not believe it, because I don't think you can get away with it any longer, because it's shit we had to do. You guys would be. You guys are not going to believe what they make you do during the shellback ceremony. It is.
I pledged a fraternity. Does this count? That's kind of close to the stuff that y'all are going through.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Before we jump over to TJ real quick, I'm just curious.
Well, except for the teabagging thing is close.
When you yeah. We'll save that story for another time. But while we're talking about your Taoism, what was it that made you? Because you said a year later you lost your faith in it. What was it that made you lose that faith in being a Taoist?
Well, while I was in the military, I kept reading up on science and started reading like Confucian philosophy. So Confucians argue with Taoists. And so those two things, I started to realize my religious experiences, my hallucinations, basically, and my meditative experiences were all explained by science. And I was just basically deluding myself into seeing what I expected to see, what's from my Taoist teachings. And then started to realize, like, sometimes the Confucians were right, sometimes the Taoists were right, sometimes either side was wrong. And I realized that Taoism was just another flawed human philosophy that's not perfect. And so those two things combined, I realized, oh, this isn't actually true. And then that's what started me thinking, well, then what is true? And so philosophy became my religion from then on.
Gotcha. All right, cool. TJ, what's your story, sir?
So we're trying to stay to the theme of religiously motivated.
It's harder than it sounds.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but
Wait, hold on.
Do
you have a really good juicy one? We'll let that slide.
Yeah, it's juicy. Yeah,
it's not religious.
It's not.
Let's have
Yeah,
at least one. I think we can get by with just one really juicy one.
Yeah. Of course. Well, okay. So I met my first wife when I was in Pensacola, Florida. I'm in Airedale, so we went to our training for our job. Basically,
You got to explain that.
Pensacola, Florida.
No, Airedale.
Oh, it means I'm in part of the aviation community in the Navy. So we go to Pensacola, Florida for our training for our job. I met my first wife while I was actually in school. We got married towards the end of my stint at A school. So right at the end of the time I was graduating from my school, I got married. And
was she civilian or in service?
She was a Marine. Actually, my first.
He was married to a Marine. I was married to a sailor.
So
connected.
She was in the Marine Corps. Yeah. And she was had come out of MRP, so she was having a medical.
Explain
issue.
MRP.
Medical Rehabilitation Platoon.
Half the show's gonna be explaining acronyms.
Yeah, I feel like I need to be taking notes. I'm getting my notepad out.
There's a whole lingo that military people have.
Yeah. So she was a medical case, right? Her knees. Imagine that, right? So she was on light duty for a medical reason while she was at school. She was a crash fire rescue technician, and so she was assigned to the RP of the base in Pensacola.
Religious program.
Yeah, an RP is a religious program specialist. So that is basically like somebody who assists the chaplaincy in like carrying out the day-to-day operations of the chaplaincy program. So
is that a rate or just an assignment?
It is a rate.
Yeah.
RP is actually a rate. So yeah, this was an RP1. She was working for the P1. She had huge involvement in the chaplaincy program. Worked at the devotional building on the base. So it's basically a church. We did all kinds of activities, and after I got out of school, I had to wait for my orders. Like there's a whole hurry up and wait thing after you get done with school for aviation people. You have to wait like 6 months to get your orders to go anywhere. So while I'm waiting for my orders, I have to choose. Basically, they make you choose a vocation so you can stay gainfully employed while you're there and waiting. So I was like, okay, so why don't I just help my wife with her RP stuff, right? So they're like, okay, we were cool with the RP. So the RP was like, okay, yeah, I can get you on here. So I got on with the RP. Like I said, we were totally involved in the chaplaincy. We were always going to help out with stuff after church and stuff like that. So after we got married, the day that we got married, we had to, you have to consummate, right? I mean, so you have to do something to consummate. Obviously. Yeah, right. So basically the way we did that is we waited till it was dark out and we went to the freaking church, and I consummated my marriage with my wife on the head chaplain's office desk. So wow. That's my GP.
Holy shit, literally. Holy shit, literally.
We were probably both just nominally Christian, just like, oh yeah, if you ask us, like, yeah, we believe in God, whatever, But it wasn't kind of thing that we took seriously or whatever. So, but yeah, I thought that was pretty good. Hey, I got to bang my wife on the chaplain's desk. So that is pretty cool.
That is That is pretty wicked.
Lost parked off the coast of Haiti during the invasion in '93, I think it was. The first time I ever.
That's pretty good. Dave, you got one?
That's the best
do I have what? Sorry.
Do you have a favorite story that involves religion when you were in service?
In the service, well, in basic, you realize that back, at least when I went through basic, and this was a while ago, because I'm an old fart. They
me too.
Like you went to church to avoid cleaning the barracks every Sunday. That's what people did. Like there was a lot of us that did that specifically to not go clean the barracks every Sunday.
Stripping wax floors.
Yeah, like literally, that's the day they stripped the floors. So that's why you don't want to be caught doing that because that was a pain in the ass. Because then you had to wax them. So you go to so it turned out that the Southern Baptist revival churches, with the ones with all the happy music in them. Like I don't know what to call it. It's just like you go there and it's all just music. The whole service is music. So that's all we did was go and free food for half of Sunday and the other half was ours. So there were people that wouldn't go just because it would, it wouldn't be their religion. So they wouldn't do that. So then they're like, I don't think we had any atheists at the time, but
So the poor people that didn't have religion would be stuck cleaning up the barracks.
Yep.
Oh, that's fucked up.
That's right.
That's fucked up.
But it's worse than cleaning up. I mean, it sounds like stripping and waxing the whole barracks, right? That's
Yeah, you pick a religion when you're in boot camp.
Yeah, that was the thing. My point is, in the Coast Guard, they didn't do that to me. They let me be alone in the barracks and just rest during chapel hour. We did the stripping and waxing of the floors as a whole unit, as a team building exercise. So
yeah, that seems fair. And I would love, I would take up the by yourself in the barracks for an hour. I'm sure that was like much needed after a week of, whatever you guys were doing. Yeah.
You didn't chill.
No.
Yeah.
Well, no, you like in my case, we had a view of this was Cape May, New Jersey, and it's like I can't remember if it was summer, but it was a nice, beautiful sunny day, and just out the view where my bunk was basically the pleasure bay, like this. So it's all the civilian world out there, and everybody out on their yachts and enjoying the outside world and water and all of that. And so you've been in for like let's say 3-4 weeks. You're halfway through boot camp, and like you're seeing that like the massive like homesickness and feeling like, oh my gosh, like I can't go do that. Like I'm in this prison basically. But it actually did like instill in me an tremendous appreciation for being free and being out and getting to do the things you want once I was out of boot camp. And so like, that was like the thing that really impressed on me, like what I was missing. And how it was difficult to go through boot camp when you start to realize, how isolated and controlled your environment is, and you don't get out for weeks and weeks, basically.
Until that last part, it sounded like you were on vacation there for a minute. The view, sitting up in your barracks with Taoism, just reading for an hour.
Yeah,
it's,
get that for an hour.
Yeah,
a week,
Coast Guard,
right?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wake up. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Mr. McRae, you have a story, sir?
I do, but
Yeah.
Dave, I'm so old that it wasn't even called boot camp back in my day. It was actually called Uggo-Gay, which was a term for, I don't know, Richard. Yeah, Uggo-Gay, yeah. Richard is the only one who probably knows this term, so I'm doing this joke for him.
Yeah. When the shield balls collide, that's called the Agoge, and the who wins the battle is who wins the Agoge.
Yeah, it was actually in a training camp that Sparta. The Spartans would call the training camp the indoctrination, the training they had the Agoge. But so when I was in boot camp,
Steve, hold on, Steve. Steve, did you say Agoge?
Agoge.
Agoge, yeah.
Oh, that's what my grandmother got mad at me for doing. That's what my grandmother got mad at me for doing.
Kyle is gay. I never. Are you really? I never knew that.
Dr.
I didn't know that. I didn't keep up, Jim. Holy shit!
There's one.
Hey,
There's one every week. There's one every week.
Jim, we're more
that can't
surprised to
believe
find out that you weren't. So
I know. It's funny. I spend my time trying to convince people that I really am. Steve, how many people have come on here and been like, "No, he's not. He's just messing with me." And I'm like, "No, people don't. Usually, people don't joke about that. Like, I'm gay," and they're like, "Nah, you're not gay. You're not. There's no way." Yes. Well, I tell them all that I can prove it to them. Like, I can prove that this is something that's provable. Anyway, Steve, go ahead.
it's demonstrable. Okay, so so my story is pretty short. Back in when I was in nuke school, I'd gone in the military, and I was still I like the occult. I had interest in the occult. People may know I led Black Sabbath, still do, but I like the symbology and stuff like that. And I like playing with Ouija boards. And we decided, me and a friend are actually playing with the Ouija board. And one of the things in the culture is that if something happens, or you want to like disconnect the mediumship, you destroy the board. You have to burn it, right? I don't know if you've heard that before, but so my friend was like tripping out. I don't know what the hell was going on, but it was just, I don't know if he was high or whatever, probably, but we decided to burn the Ouija board on base. We were on base and we are just out by the areas where they have these pits where you can have like barbecues and stuff. So we decided to burn the Ouija board on base, and the shore patrol came along and they asked like, what are you doing? And my idiot friend decided to tell them, right? And they're like, well, you're not doing anything illegal because, you're burning it in a barbecue pit. So, it's not a big deal, but can we get your information so we can at least fill out a report in case the embers, start a fire or something else? And we're like, sure, no problem.
Satanic embers.
The next day, the very next day, my section leader, the leader of the thing, had called me in, and I'll never forget the terminology used. They said, quote, we find this strange and unusual behavior, and we are forced to schedule you a psych evaluation.
Oh no.
And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm getting out.
I concur.
Yes, right?
I
better.
echo that now today, even today.
Yeah, it gets better. So I do the psych eval, and I'm trying to answer the questions as honestly as possible, because even back then, I even though I had things that I believed, I didn't want to mislead, but I wanted to answer them as honestly as possible. Well, come to find out, it comes back, maladjusted personality with schizotypical personality traits. And I'm like, yes, I'm getting out. They're like, no, you're fine. Just go back. You're back, and we're going to put you in charge of a nuclear power plant. I'm like, cool.
This explains so much.
4 years after that, and
this explains so much.
Yeah, it was no big deal. But after that, I was like, yeah, maybe there's some bullshit to this. But yeah, it was kind of strange having to go to a psych eval and getting them to go, yeah, we find this to be unusual, but you know what? We're going to put you in charge of a nuclear reactor anyways. Fair enough. Whatever. Military for you.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like ATs. It's like where geeks and criminals and nukes have to be.
Nukes have to be like talk to themselves and like look down at the floor when they're talking to you. They're like they're all nerds.
I was not one of those nukes. I knew their heads, right? I mean, I knew the smartest of the smart when they came to nukes. I was not one. I had to work for my nuke thing. They didn't. It was ridiculous how easy it came to them.
It's like 2 years.
Start to finish before you actually. Yeah, I would say the whole program is about 2 years before you're finally able to actually stand watch by yourself as a supervisor.
It's mentally the hardest job in the military.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I went to language school in Monterey, and the Arabic linguists, they compared it to nuke school. Like if you watch out of nuke school, the sailors will get put in Arabic, which is a year long, and it's fucking hard as hell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you guys go to Corey State? Did those guys go to Corey Station?
Language school is Monterey, California for everybody.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
My sister. I was thinking of crypto.
And if you are an MP or an SP or anything military police, and you work with dogs, you go to San Antonio. There's some places where we all go.
Yeah. Monterey. My sister just graduated Russian language school for the Air Force. Monterey. So
cool. Yeah. Nice. Spanish is only 6 months long, and I got most improved student at least.
It's a pretty easy language.
It's the easiest language on earth. Yeah.
It follows all the rules like.
It's like Latin.
Yeah. Spanish is still a difficult language for me. I took many years of it, but all I remember how to say things are like "Yo tengo un gato en mis pantalones" and "Cuántas cuestas para tu his." ¿Cuántas cuestas para tu hermano? I learned this. I learned this. I learned how to say "Cuántas cuestas para tu hermana?" Porque tu hermana es muy bonita, but I usually get shot at after I say that.
How much does your sister cost? Because
how much does your sister cost? Yeah. Usually, not the best thing to say when you're over in Tijuana, but.
I didn't hear that part. Sorry.
It means sister.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask you guys.
Hermano? How much is your head? Your head is very beautiful.
So let me ask you guys, because of the changes in policy, back in our day we had the don't ask, don't tell policy, but we always had that one guy that you knew was gay, going back to Kyle being he's actually gay. I mean, if you want to get technical about it, I mean technically he likes guys. I don't know. So
realistically, virtually, all the above.
Now, I have a story which I'll relate. Then you guys can relate your story. You always have that one person in the military is just gay. You just know it, but you can't talk about it, right? You can't even ask them, right? But we had one. His name was Spunky Bob. I can't give his last name away.
Oh, God.
Around, but
That can't be
his
real.
nickname was Spunky Bob.
That can't be real.
And I swear, we also had a guy in our boot camp. He wasn't gay, but his last name was Stain. Now, in the military, when you go into boot camp in the Navy, you're seaman. So his name was Seaman Stain.
Yes.
Oh my
God.
I hate you,
Steve McRae. I hate you, Steve
No,
McRae.
I'm not making this show.
wow.
So,
Sorry.
So do you guys have any stories like that?
I was never a seaman.
I was on the Thomas S. Gates. It's a guided missile cruiser. It was 537 sailors, 7 Coast Guardsmen, the law enforcement deck, because we were doing counter narcotics, and 1 Marine.
And 1 Marine?
Yes, but now
Did they all call you daddy?
those of you watching, if you're the senior Marine on a Navy ship, it's usually a detachment of Marines. If you're the senior Marine, no matter what rank you are called commander of troops, and you get your own stateroom like an officer. You get to eat at the officer's mess.
Wow.
And so I was commander of troop. I was the only Marine, so I got all. It was fucking awesome. Where was I going with that? What were we just talking about?
Size your head or something?
No.
Okay.
No. What were we just talking? Oh,
People who are obviously gay, but
yes. And so on that ship there was a. This was during the Clinton Don't Ask Don't Tell, but there was this. It was a gang of. There was a leader. There was the gay leader, and they never came out and said it, but they were like they roamed around. They were it was a clique that it was a gay gang. It was the gay MS-13 rep in that bitch.
What do they do? What do they do? Have drive-by glitter tossing? They'll just drive by and just throw some glitter your way. Is that the extent?
Hey! Listen, I will not have you. I will not have you stereotyping my people. Okay, it will not happen. but I do have like maybe to serious make the mood a little bit serious. What do you guys think, or what's your feelings on how Trump responded to wanting to get transgender people out of the military? Like, how does that, as people who served, what's your feeling on people who are trans serving in the military?
It didn't work, so I'm just gonna stand down on this one. If it had worked, it would ruffle some feathers, because that shit is. We've made too many gains so far to have one administration come and undo everything.
Yeah.
You think
nobody cares? Nobody cares.
Readiness?
It has anything to do with
It doesn't hurt combat readiness.
orientation, really.
As soon as they allow openly gay service members, did it hamper combat readiness at all?
We already
not a bit.
We already segregate females and males for mission readiness objectives and capability.
Yeah.
So
Some of them, not all.
So I don't understand.
I just wonder.
I
just wonder as people who served, it to me. Oh, I'm sorry.
Freaking serve, right? It's just kind of dumb to like start excluding because of some ideological reason.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
And what about
as people
from that MOSs, right?
Yeah.
So why aren't they forced to register for selective service when they turn 18?
Yeah.
That needs to be be the logical next step, right?
I mean, that Congress has to do that, but you're absolutely right, and I think like tons of women want that to happen, like basically one way or the other, like either all of us or none of us.
Yeah, so if you're gonna fight for the same, saying that you're fighting for the same rights as men, you should have the same responsibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
Israel has one of the greatest fighting forces in the world. What were you saying, Kyle?
I was just gonna say it like I didn't serve obviously, but it still to me it would seem that most people who did serve that was also an insult to them as well, because they're the people that are there with you guys doing the basic training, going through everything that you're going through equally, and for him to just kind of brush them off because he's trying to obviously distract from what's going on, whatever the chaos is going up there. But to me, it was just such
it's something that he can accomplish. He doesn't need Congress for, so that makes his base happy.
It's saber rattling.
I don't think he himself cares.
Saber rattling.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You care about one thing in the military when it comes to the person next to you. Can they do the fucking job? That's all you give a shit about. Because if they can't do the job, guess who gets stuck doing the job if they can't do it? You get stuck.
When I'm in a firefight, I'm not worried if the guy next to me, if we're going to end up fingering each other in the buttholes.
Yeah, you don't.
Okay. Well, let me ask
whatever you do to celebrate afterwards, it's, kumbaya, right?
But in the gay direction. We're just all going in the gay direction tonight.
This is what I said about Jim earlier. We're all surprised to find out that he wasn't gay. It was a shock to all.
I don't feel oddly as singled out anymore as I did when we started the stream. So this is good. But let me ask you this: there's a saying, right? And I heard this the other day. I think I was in a store, and there was a commercial playing. But it was a political commercial. But there is no atheist in a foxhole. Is that accurate?
No, obviously not. I mean, that is an absurd statement.
Yeah, totally.
It's wrong on a lot of levels, actually, too. It's what we would call fractally wrong.
Fractally. I've started seeing people using it crazily. Yeah.
I like that, fractally wrong.
Like, I twice in my life. Well, no, actually, once in the Coast Guard. This would be the most important point. It wasn't a military thing. It was I was on leave. I got caught in a riptide, just swimming for pleasure, and got caught in a riptide and almost drowned to death. And got to the point where I was like pretty much resolved that I wasn't going to make it, and just decided, well, my life has been pretty good up till now, kind of reaction to it. But at no point did I suddenly go, oh shit, I better start believing in God and praying. Like, it didn't even occur to me. Like, I was just content to let my life end, and I was happy up to that point, but kept fighting, to swim back and make it. And I did. I sort of got there, but that's not alive today. But I died that day. But I mean, that wasn't combat. But I mean, just by random chance, I was in service at the time. But the whole idea of no atheist, this idea that you think you're going to die and therefore you're going to turn to God.
I think there are more assumptions tied to that.
Oh, that's true.
That's why I say it's fractally wrong. It's wrong on a lot of different levels.
I've been in 3 firefights. I've been hit by shrapnel. I've had buddies die in my arms. Never once did God come into my mind.
You were in harm's way a lot, and the insinuation by that statement that you somehow don't have the intestinal fortitude as other people, right?
The hardest part is,
but Jim, when you're in those situations, you're focused on the top at hand. Right. I was not in a firefighter, but I have been in combat duty. We had Iraqi fighters coming in during the Gulf War. We didn't know we have one job as a guided missile cruiser to protect the aircraft carrier, which was a Carl Vinson group. And by doing that, that means we take the missile hit, right? When it comes down to it, we take the missile hit, not them. And so when you have planes flying around, now granted we have a phalanx system, but we were at general quarters, port and starboard watches for quite some time, and we had heard that we have Iraqi fighters coming in. Luckily, they got turned away because once they've been told we have the phalanx system on auto, most pilots that are any good pilots going to say, "Fuck this, I'm out of here," and they buggered off. But my mind, when this was being announced over the general, the 1MC. My mind, the only thing I thought of is where is the emergency breathing apparatus? Where if this place gets a hit, what do I have to seal for this watertight compartment? These are the things that go through your mind. Nothing theologically went through my mind at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, for the viewers, 1MC is like a public address system where everyone on the ship can hear it.
Well, I was also going to say too, people who don't understand what a phalanx is, it's called a Minuteman. It's a zip gun, basically.
Dude, it is.
Yeah, it's an anti-aircraft. It's a badass anti-aircraft.
I have another definition for that.
These slugs are massive, right? And they don't even have to they don't have to go through a plane. They can skim a plane. They could just be like, just touch it, and that wing's coming off. And
they're depleted uranium rounds.
Yeah. That's why they carry so much momentum.
They're called sea whizzes. They're going to take that plane pretty.
I think the phalanx can shoot its own bullets. Like it actually radar tracks its own shells as it's firing.
It's oh yeah, it's an auto. Normally you have it in manual, but when they come within a 2 mile, I think it's 2 to 5 mile range, we'll switch operationally to auto fire, which out of our control. When a pilot knows that a phalanx system's on auto, they're going to get out because they're going to die. Yeah.
There's a stereotype I think that exists about people who being super like conservative. The majority of them are, Bible believing Christians usually, I guess. But is that a thing that you guys dealt with when you were like, what's it like to be somebody that didn't believe when you were serving and be around a majority of people who were believers?
The hardest part for me was after a big engagement, if we lost somebody, we go through, we go through a laundry list of things that have to get done. When it's all said and done, all the Marines get together and they end up taking a knee, holding hands, putting arms around each other, bowing their heads, and just doing this long prayer. They knew, and most of the time, like usually I was like I was a company first sergeant, so I'm like in charge of, I was in charge of 168 Marines last time in Iraq. So I definitely have to be a part of that. So I was there with them when they bowed and they prayed and they actually, bowed their heads and did their thing. I was standing there in support of them. When they're done, it was very awkward for me. When they're done and then we all, fellowship, and then I'm hugging them and we're talking it out. But the actual act of praying, I just wasn't a part of that. I was there in spirit, and yeah, that was really awkward for me. I felt like I wasn't part of that going on until afterwards when they started their fellowship. I don't know. That was the difficult part.
Yeah, in the Coast Guard,
And TJ?
we had so many seculars in the Coast Guard that that stuff never really came. So I felt, and I do a lot of in the other services that had to deal with a lot of other things like you just described, and other kinds of evangelism going on. I would get evangelized when I was on a Navy base. Like dudes would walk up to me and say, "Have you found Jesus?" So that was the thing, and that actually converted me to atheism. A Navy guy walking up to me in full Cracker Jack saying, "Have you found Jesus?" And
Cracker Jack is the Navy white uniform.
Yeah. Cracker Jack.
I'm actually loving this that you have to explain the jargon.
Hold on. He was saying something.
I love the fact that you guys actually. I love the fact that you guys actually explain the jargon, because you know what, we don't even think about it, right? Because you just don't. Yeah. But then you realize, oh shit, half the people probably know what these things are that we take advantage. So you guys are like walking encyclopedias of military knowledge on the jargon that we use.
Devil dogs and what's the nickname for Navy people? You got devil dogs. I know is a nickname for Marines, correct?
Well, there's derogatory, and then there's the benevolent and derogatory for each.
Yeah.
And so I've been seeing on the live chat that they've been calling Richard a puddle pirate.
Puddle pirate.
I never heard that one, puddle pirate. That's
good. That's funny.
Which is, well, I think he was a boat. What's your boatswain's? You're a boatswain's mate, weren't you?
Yeah, we're in some shallow base.
Right. Yeah. No, we were going.
Yeah. There's so many, like. What does Army stand for? Aren't real Marines yet? There's so many. Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah.
And then you guys say, what does it stand for?
My ass is equipment, sir.
My ass
rides in Navy.
My ass rides in Navy equipment. Or muscles are required, intelligence not essential.
No. Navy was this. Never again volunteer yourself. That's what the Navy was.
And that's true.
Oh, that's
yeah.
We can do better.
That's
how about this?
In general, like
that's in general, right?
Yeah.
What's this one, Richard? FTN.
Fuck the Navy.
Fuck the Navy.
Yeah.
How about
the guy got it? Wow.
Yeah. Steve, how about FNG?
Fucking new guy.
Fucking new guy.
FNG is fucking new guy. Like whenever a new guy shows up, and when I was on Guantanamo Bay,
FNG,
yeah, when I was at Guantanamo Bay, all our FNGs got sent way up to the top of Lookout Mountain and had to do because there are communist Cuba is still connected to the former Soviet Union, so we're on submarine. We put them on submarine watch. And it's a joke. Just go get the keys to the Humvee. It's like a jar of keys to a Humvee. So we put them up there.
The cellar key. Go get the cellar key.
Yeah. We sent them up there to just bake in the sun all day. But one day, the fucking new guy One day, the fucking new guy came down and said, "Yeah, I see a submarine," and we were like, "Whatever, man." And we went up there, and it was a Soviet class Zhuk. It was a Zhuk class submarine. There's only 3 left in Cuba, and this one was parked out of Havana. It had been dry docked for decades, and it was making its rounds, and it actually was a no shit Soviet submarine. We were like, "Fuck,
Can't do that one anymore." Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, why is it everybody likes fucking with the new guy? Everybody has their own like thing that they do for initiations. Like we would tell people to go have like we would have the new guy go to the mess hall and ask for reactor fluid, which would be water. We had people we had
things that didn't exist on the ship. I don't remember what they were. It's
a box full of grid squares.
No, it wasn't that.
Or
there's quite a few things that never. Well, it's kind of like the blinker fluid for like your car kind of stuff. Yeah, what would we ask people for that didn't exist?
We actually sent newbies after squelch grease. That was our thing. Go find some squelch grease. Squelch grease.
Squelch grease.
Well, see this.
Oh, that's good.
What is that?
Squelch grease.
Yeah.
I never heard that.
It's a radio thing. Yeah. Okay. Ours was go clean pad eyes, but there were actually pad eyes, and it was a pain in the ass to clean them. So it was just a shitty thing. You had people go do.
Okay. Yeah.
My favorite was this. We occasionally have to do surveying for the radiological controls, and you have a Geiger-Müller tube, and you have to do a portable air sample. And what you do is you basically test atmospheric conditions for any kind of particulates in the air, right? And we would have a new guy. We would say we have to like, hey, we need a comparison to an atmospheric sample. So we would have him go up top deck with a trash bag and just get air, and then they bring it back to us. They'd be up there just like this. Trying
to get it.
Steve, were you ever?
It's a nuke joke. If you're a nuke, you get it. What?
Were you exposed to like unnatural levels of radiation throughout?
Yeah, well, we had some bombardment.
Yes.
I was working outside the secondary shielding. We had to take neutron tests. Neutron detectors are like that big. They're massive, and you have to basically you'll. Yeah, we had neutron levels, dude. Sure, neutron's dangerous. Neutron's 20 times worse than most forms of radiation. I got exposed to like quite a bit of radiation. Nah, not really. 600 milliroom lifetime is not a hell of a lot.
There's a thing on YouTube now. It's
my
it's
daughter
getting
walks
bigger,
weird.
and I've started watching a couple of the episodes or the people that do that, and to me it blows my mind. But stolen valor is a thing that people are getting caught up in, and the videos are all over YouTube, and they're fascinating to watch. Not only is it like infuriating to see, but just the level of sometimes you just can't believe that people would do something like that. What is your? I mean, I can pretty much guess what you're going to say, but what are your thoughts on that, and how would you react to that if you?
The most that should be done levied against those type of people is mockery.
You don't think it's
no, it's free expression, free speech. Go and make an ass of yourself.
No, I don't agree.
You do it to appear qualified for a job that you wouldn't normally
qualify
for.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah,
but if you want to go make an ass,
wait, is it free speech to pretend you're an officer of the law and wear a uniform of an officer of law?
No,
that's
good point.
Then why is it any different? And by the way, I just want to show that everybody knows that I am a military. I'm not showing this for validation, but if somebody doesn't have one of these, then they're probably this is what one actually looks like. This is the Department of Veteran Affairs. This is actually this is me when I was shaving.
There's no like identifying information on there.
Yeah, I dox myself. I don't care. Everybody knows who I am. What? But I mean, this is what an actual card would look like. So if somebody's a veteran, they'll normally have one of these. If they're in uniform and they don't have some kind of identification, it might be a case of stolen.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Oh, I could just ask them.
Retired.
I could ask someone 3 things. If someone was pretending to be a Marine, I could ask them like 3 things and instantly know.
Right? Yeah.
Or just walk up to them and go, "Hurrah." And if they look at you dumb, instantly. I
would never get away pretending I was a Marine. I know shit from culture, the Marine culture. Not a damn thing.
It's just
right. It's not like
it's got to be or just call cadence. Every Marine can call cadence. No other service calls cadence.
We did in boot camp.
Yeah, but you don't.
No, we didn't do that. Oh, he sucked at it. Yeah.
Fort Sam Houston had parades, and they used.
We know that shit.
No,
I don't know any anymore.
no.
Hang on one second. Hang on one second.
I was gonna say.
Hang on, Jim.
I was gonna say
Hang on,
when
Jim.
I was in AIT at Fort Sam Houston, which a lot of those programs are years long, they actually have the trainees go out and march for all that time for parades. It's a big pomp and circumstance there. It really is.
But there's
Do
something
you know how to
about
tell somebody who's in the Navy? The easiest
What was
way?
it?
The easiest way to see if they're actually in the Navy? Hand them a mop. If they know how to use it, they're in the military.
Steve's cheating on his own team over here all
Oh,
night
you think
long.
I'm kidding? You think it's a joke? No, it's not. When they talk about stripping floors, we have nightmares of that shit. Okay.
Yes.
We would mop all day long, and then I would go to sleep, and I would dream mopping, and I'd wake up, and literally I would not remember having slept. It would be like literally the dream was vivid dreaming of just mopping. So it was mopping all day and then mopping all
You're
night.
kidding, right?
You know what? You know what's a dead giveaway, Steve?
No,
A
that's
dead
literally
giveaway
it.
is a floor buffer. A dead giveaway is a
Floor buffer, yeah. You know how to use a floor buffer. If you don't know how to use a floor buffer, you weren't in the Navy, man. Wax on, wax off.
What about
Like, okay, non-Marines, ready? I could ask a Marine, any Marine on Earth, any of the 200,000 active, or any former Marine. I could ask them this question, they could tell me instantly. Where was Tuntavern? See, I just gave it away. Where was the Marine Corps born? It was born in a bar in Pennsylvania.
Oh, I see.
Philadelphia.
Everybody knows the birthday. Everybody knows the birthplace.
No, everyone knows. Well,
That's what
see,
I'm talking
non-Marines
about.
might know the birthday,
No idea.
but only Marines
I don't know anything about the
born in
Marines.
Pennsylvania in
Well, you get
1775.
something you can research.
You know what's funny? Like,
Yeah, but someone that could be able to.
Yeah,
rattle
if they
it off.
didn't know beforehand.
well, for us, it'd be like it used to be. You would say, "Who founded the Coast Guard?" And the answer is Alexander Hamilton. But now Hamilton is a musical, and there's a line in there where he created the Coast Guard, so now everybody knows.
Yeah.
such a good musical? It's such a good musical. See, look, we're not so far off after all. It's such a good musical. What about the world as a whole? Like, you know, we've been at war with terrorism for what now, 15 years it's going on. How do you see the future going forward? Like, what's our role, and, you know, are we safer now than we were then? And like, what's going on with that? As people who served and have been, I know, Jim, you saw combat. So what's it like today compared to when that started back in 2003?
My dad was a Vietnam vet. He got Agent Orange. He's 100% disabled. I told my dad once, I said, Dad, when I came back from Iraq the first time, I said, Dad, you know what? We have something else in common now. He goes, what's that, son? I said, we're both part of unwinnable wars. Fighting an ideology is tricky. I am a hands-off kind of guy, but not to the point where, okay, what was the whole point of Vietnam? Communist spread, right? The domino effect. What's the point of the global war on terrorism? Spread of ideology. It's how do you beat that? Where do we go?
You don't beat ideas with bullets.
And I know our military spending is more than the next 25 countries combined.
But
and 24 of those 25 are our allies. We could be putting that in education, in STEM fields.
But we also don't beat ideologies with the softball stance that many on the left have taken against Islam in this country. We don't. We also
How
don't
do
beat
you
it like
beat
that.
Toxic?
I'm going to go with TJ on this one. I'm going to go with
Jim's
TJ on
right
this
though.
one.
It's hard to beat. It's hard to kill an enemy that's willing to kill themselves to kill you.
Yeah,
like that's
Well,
pretty
there's a way
difficult to combat.
Kill them first. I'm proactive. I you know me. I'm just.
Yeah, but how do you do that? Well, I mean, you can't
kill them first.
They're in
you
such,
hunt them down.
but they're in such small cells. Like, how do you literally hunt down these? Thing is,
well,
they're
when you talk about
individuals.
theory of
Like
practice,
with
right?
well, but the thing is, with past wars, you had like groups. You knew like where you were going to battle. Like you would face each other, or it would be just in big groups. Now you're talking about people who are running around by themselves, or in a group of 18 in the case of September the 11th, and you can't, like, it's hard to keep track of the spread of all of these single people everywhere. That's harder to keep track of. So how do you?
How? Well, one of the things you also have to realize too, while some components of it may be necessary as far as keeping the spread of a dangerous ideology from infesting Western culture, yes, there's that part of it. But you also have to understand too that a nation is galvanized by an enemy figure, right?
Oh yeah.
So in that sense, they've created it. What they've spawned is a conflict that essentially will never end.
Yeah, permanent state of war.
Permanent state of war, where we can constantly, which it kind of almost detracts from the end goal in and of itself. But but what do you do, because it's also necessary? You know, I mean,
I don't think we need the permanent declared war. I mean, it's just an ongoing national security issue.
Yeah.
What I think, like when you're talking about that, is we should have put the troop strength that we put into Iraq after 9/11 into Afghanistan.
Yes, thank you.
And not into Iraq. We would have gone in there. We would have captured Osama bin Laden immediately. We would have wiped out Al Qaeda in Afghanistan. No one would have escaped. And then what we should have done, once we've taken it over, we would do what we did with Germany, and you would just put money in there and rebuild their infrastructure and leave them a functioning country when we left. Like, so they would see us as something. Oh, they came in here, got rid of these guys, and didn't just leave everything wrecked, but actually left us a workable country. And then we would have an allied state that would actually back us because we helped them out and left them out in a good. That's what we should have done.
I'm not sure.
And it would have cost less.
No, Congress, are you listening to this? This is exactly what we need to do.
I'm not sure it would have worked like that though, because we were already dealing with another westernized culture in Germany. We weren't dealing. We were dealing with a totally alien culture.
It still would have worked though. This is the thing, is that a lot of this is the animus against the U.S. Like, so for example, when I did the debate with, it was me and Dan Barker and Hassanin Rajabali and Michael Corey, and it was
all right
before
the name dropping.
Well, if people want to Google this, you can debate video starting with an Islamic prayer. But it was before an audience of like 1,000 Muslims. But one of the cool things about that is they flew us in early, and then Muslims came in from all over the world to see this debate. So I got to meet Muslims from Syria, Tanzania, Canada, Indonesia, all these places. And I got to hang out with a Syrian at the time, and actually I was asking them questions like, "What do you guys think of America? Like, what really is the impression there?" And they say they love our culture, they love our movies and stuff. They hate our foreign policy primarily because we back oil companies and back their leaders that actually are fucking them over.
Yep, I think that's the key to it.
It's very much like the way the Romans were supporting the Jewish elite, and then you have the Zealots, of course, are rising up against that. That caused the Zealot movement. It was the collusion between the Roman elite, the Roman imperialists, and the Jewish elite at the time. And so you have all this constant rebellion in Judea, constant fighting, and like this. That's actually bad policy. We actually should be trying to find ways to support people who are actually being screwed over by the elite. And of course, trying to help get information to them, because a lot of them are information isolated. So they have they're taught, false things and things like that actually make them vilify us because they have false beliefs about this. But this is only in certain countries, not all over the place. But that's why goodwill actions like that, actually, fixing the country we screw up basically because we had to go in and take them out. That actually would create a goodwill scenario where we could say, like, look what Al Qaeda does, look what we do. And when they see the difference between
hearts and minds,
all human beings are going to see that. It's not a cultural thing at all.
Well, I feel like though in that kind of exchange, it's almost you're looking at somebody who is monumentally ignoring the tenets of their faith, or you're a target of taqiyya. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
No,
you got to explain taqiyya to the folks.
Not even relevant, but yeah, go ahead.
What's taqiyya?
It's lying for the Lord, basically.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's they're actually direct.
Yeah, I mean,
well, you know what? I've seen people do that. Don't even hold an Islamic mentality.
Yeah.
A lot of people do think. A lot of people think consequentially that even if I'm telling a lie, if the end result is that person having a belief, then I'm doing something to save their soul, right? And so lying for Jesus, lying for Allah, whatever it is, there's a weird rationality. Yeah, well, there's a weird rationality with that, right? I mean, they actually think in their perspective that lying is by consequentialism will be saving your soul. However, my counter to that is, if that's the type of deity that is having a system where you have to be lied to believe in him, that's really not my idea of a very good deity. I mean, I have problems there. Does that make sense? I find an issue there. Why would a just God say, hey, it's okay for people to lie about me just if they get me to believe in him? Well, if that was the case, why didn't he just show himself?
countries are aware of that. Like that's why there's a huge amount of seculars in Iran. They have to profess to be Muslim, but they're not really. There's a huge underground movement, secularism in Iran. They well know this. Like they know that this is bullshit, but they're actually under this oppressive regime that requires them to declare Islam as their religion and act like Muslims, or else they're prosecuted.
Well,
I think you're totally right on that. Absolutely.
Actually, no, we know a lot because it's a massive underground movement. It's well documented, so we know it's a large.
It's significant. I think it's significant for sure. Whether it's massive.
I have a feeling Steve needs to go to Applebee's to get his free meal.
I'm actually, you know what? I just found out I have a prior engagement too that I have to do with Mrs. Snarky and with the Goddess Language tonight. So what I'm doing, I'm going to be taking off. I'm going to be going to get my free meal real quick. I'm going to be doing their hangout on location at either McDonald's or a little coffee place that I know. Then I'm going to be having Applebee's for dinner. But I want to wrap it up real quick. This is actually, I just found this out relatively new, and I didn't know this. And just to be appreciative to Richard, do you know, Richard, that the Navy now has a slogan? When we were in, Navy never had a slogan. They had a tagline, which was Semper Fortis. Where you guys had Semper Fi.
Yeah.
Right.
Ready.
But they have a tagline now. As of last year, in 2017, they have an actual tagline. It's called "Forged by the Sea." How interesting is that? Because the Navy never really had a tagline, but they have one now. Forged by.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Forged by the sea.
Pretty cool, right?
You were forged by nuclear reactors, Steve. You were forged by nuclear reactors, though.
You might be a superhero.
To
see if you have any skills.
Yeah.
You might have gotten
nagging,
like Spider-Man,
nagging,
or a radioactive spider or something.
Nagging, in a strict sense of a definition.
Jim, I've got skills, but I cannot demonstrate them on anybody that's in this room right now. Let's just put it that way.
Oh,
you're gonna publish in a philosophical journal pretty soon about
kill me now. Why do I have that image in my head leaving here?
If I were to say, go secure that building to 5 service members, I don't have one for Coast Guards. You're going to have to lump in with Navy.
Okay.
All right. So go secure that building. If I told a squid that, go secure the building, it would mean go put some tape around it and start mopping it and say close cleaning, right? And then
secure just means make sure that it doesn't move when you're moving on a ship. That's what secure means. You want to secure it so it doesn't move.
Secure it means lock it down.
Yeah. Okay.
Tie it down. Yeah.
Right. So in Navy, just means put some tape around it, say it's closed right now, and then we're gonna mop it or swap it.
We're gonna swap it.
And if you tell an Army soldier to secure the building, they're going to just kick in the doors and fucking kill everyone in it, right? If you tell a Marine to go secure the building, they're going to take a javelin and just level that motherfucker, right? And if you tell Zooming, an Air Force guy, to go secure the building, they'll put a down payment on it to freeze the price.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. We know what, we can't diss on the Air Force. We didn't have a representative of the Air Force in here, so next time.
Great.
But yeah, I do got so.
Awesome. Well, good.
Thank you guys.
This was fantastic, guys. Yeah, thank you for coming by. This was awesome.
Richard, do you want to promote your thing real quick? Because I'm going to be trying to go down to San Diego on the 29th. I want to have some mezcal with you if I can make it down there. So you want to promote your thing real quick before we leave?
Yeah. So yeah, San Diego. Well, I can't remember the exact date. If you go to my website and yeah, okay. So if you want details and time and where and all that stuff on my website, the categories, look for appearances, and San Diego will be one of the blogs in there, and that'll give you all the details of where I'm going to be. But yeah, I'm just going to be hanging out, drinking, selling, signing books if anybody wants, or just chat and do whatever. So yeah, come join us in San Diego. I'll be there.
I got plugs. You ready?
Yeah.
And okay. Let's see. All my plugs. Rich him for 5 events while he's here for 3 days. So the first one has already happened. We recorded with him for about 6 hours just now. And this is the second one, the Non Sequitur Show. Tomorrow, if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, he's going to be appearing at the Atheist Christian Book Club. Go to Facebook, Atheist Christian Book Club. He's going to be appearing there, and he's going to be talking about his book, Why I'm Not a Christian. Oh, there it is. He's going to be answering questions on that. That's tomorrow night in Arlington, Texas. And then, prior to that, we got a 4-person roundtable with 2 Christians. We're going to be talking about Jesus prophecies in the Old Testament. Tuesday night, if you're in the Fort Worth area, he's going to be doing a pub meet at World of Beer. That's going to be on, just go to Atheist Edge Facebook, and you'll see that event. And he's going to be doing a Q&A and a meet and greet and signing books and whatever. So that's what we got.
You can find all that on my website too, richardcarrier.info. I'm doing pub meets all over. So Denver, Albuquerque, Kansas City, a few other places. So yeah, if you're interested in, if you want to be in your town this tour, check out the category appearances on my website at richardcarrier.info, and you'll see each city I'll be in. And I do this every quarter, so keep your eye on my website or my Facebook wall or Twitter feed.
Yep, and you can always find the Branch Out Project of Jim Hall, which is our Atheist Edge YouTube channel. You can find it on YouTube, and make sure that you like as many videos as you can, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, or you may not be able to be notified.
The algorithm sucks. Yep.
And if you're watching us and you're not subscribed yet, don't save yourself the blood pressure, especially after last night. So we had 6 hours of flat Earth last night. 6 hours.
6 hours, holy cow.
Yeah.
And remember, that is
Atheist Edge. Wow.
There you go.
Nice.
I like that. That's a cool shirt. I like that.
yeah,
all right, guys. Thank you once again for coming by. This was awesome. Happy Veterans Day, and thank you, every one of you in this call, for your service. Steve, thank you for making it a lot gayer than it needed to be, as always. I can count on you for that.
It's what I do, man.
Stick around.
What I do.
Stick around, guys. We'll be back.
Yeah, can I plug something? Sure. Tomorrow I'll be on the Atheist Community of Austin's Discord server, the ACA. They do the American Experience. I'm invited to be a guest speaker on the Discord for Q&A at I think it's 2:00 tomorrow. So if you want to go to their Discord, we're going to be talking about stuff. So
right on.
Gay stuff.
Oh God, Corbin would kill me if I didn't plug Women of Deconversion on Secular Hangouts on YouTube, the first Monday night of every month. The Women of Deconversion. It's Shannon Q. It's Bionic Dance. It's Courtney from Atheist Edge. It's Rationality Rules. It's Rachel in Reality. It's all the females
Friends
in
of the show. Yeah.
Yeah, it's every Monday night on Secular Hangouts.
Awesome.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, definitely check that out. And we'll put the links for all of you guys in the description. Following the show, we'll put Dr. Carey's information and Atheist Edge, all of you guys stuff in there. So you'll be able to, if you're watching this later, you'll be able to click down there and go directly to that. So thank you again for your service. Happy Veterans Day out there to you guys. And we'll be back here in 15 minutes for the Smoking Nun, where we talk about cabbage, curing the gay. I told Katie, who's the co-host of the Smoking Nun, that I would order some jelly juice. And if you guys want to, this is just for science, if you want to send dick pics, we'll put them up and see if I still react to it. I'll drink the jelly juice and we'll see if I still have reactions to it. Not because I want to, just because it's science, okay? I'm willing to do that for you guys. But we'll be back in 15.
Good night. Thank you, guys.
Later.
Non sequitur. Your facts are uncoordinated.